Welcome to In the Moment with Kortia, where we inform, inspire, and motivate you to be a positive agent of change. Good morning on this halfway there Wednesday. Hey, family, I want you to be careful out there this morning. We've got some weather conditions. We've got some rain, maybe unexpected to you, and some slip and slide conditions. So make sure that you are preparing for that and keep it at the forefront of your mind about when you're about to head on out to work today. And then look, saying a shout out to everyone in the surrounding area. That's Natchitoches, Gina, Alexandria at 88.1 FM. Monroe, West Monroe on 98.9 FM. Shreveport, Greenwood, 92.5 FM. St. Joseph, Natchez, Mississippi, 99.3 FM. And Lake Charles on 100.1 FM. And definitely we're having some exciting things that have been happening as far as like with In the Moment I could definitely say over the past month, and how God's definitely been moving, having different guests, that have been coming from all over the country and locally. And, how God's just allowing us to see that all of these things that he's doing is just stirring us up and letting you see the different gifts and the people that he's using literally, not only in this nation, but around the world. And look, we definitely invite you to go ahead and reach out to us across social media to get the podcast, download it, through all of our social media platforms. Of course, you can go ahead and find out all what's going on the latest on our Facebook page, In the Moment with Kortia Kuzan. And then, of course, getting the podcast on our YouTube channel of the same name, or going to our website at inthemomentwithkortiakuzan.com, where we also have, free resources for you to actually be able to use and apply in your life. But, it's been really exciting, the things that God has actually been doing. I mean, the things that he's continually doing. I tell you, it's revelation after revelation, breakthrough after breakthrough, download after download, to where I don't know if any of you are just like me, but I just actually have to just stand in awe at the things that God is actually doing on a continual basis. In awe. And that's really a big word to say a lot of times. So how can you actually stand in awe when it comes to things as far as like God is concerned? But I tell you what, it's even in the small things. If you appreciate those small blessings, he's definitely going to show you how to appreciate the larger blessings. And definitely on yesterday, and we're really going to get more so back into this in a little bit, but we were actually talking about stepping out into the unknown on yesterday. And, as my wife and I were actually, talking about this, it was just basically like, hey, we know that we just can't go into this just on one day, because, God was just really moving and bringing a lot of different things out. And I see how, even how it's going to be carrying over, not only to today, but, a lot of things that we have coming up, after. So, God has basically laid the foundation, set the framework, laid the precedence, and, he's just really wanting to let his people know exactly that no matter where you're at right now, okay, this is for somebody right now in that moment, no matter where you're at right now, no matter how dark it may seem in your life, he is still right there in the midst with you. So look, I want you to make sure that you stay right there with us. And look, when we come right back from the break, we're going to get right back into stepping out into the darkness. Stay in your moment. Welcome back to In the Moment with Kortia Kuzan on this halfway there Wednesday. Hey, let's get to it. Hey, we're talking about part 2 of stepping out into the unknown. And, we mentioned on yesterday that when you actually start talking about the unknown, or you start thinking about the unknown kind of brings this, well, some people have this like dread about it. They may start to get a little fearful about it. It's just that a little hesitant. It's like, okay, should I or shouldn't I? Should I or shouldn't I? And joining us on the microphone right now is the magnificent, elegant, and always spectacular Jennifer Kuzan.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
You are
good morning.
A mess.
What? Hey, I appreciate my blessing. What you talking about? Come on now. But I tell you, it's a lot of people that are stepping out into the unknown, or, don't really know it, how, you brought out yesterday, taking that leap of faith. Okay.
Right.
And it's that a lot of us, well, I think a lot of us don't realize that we've actually, especially those who've been walking for God, and some people, because even in our spirit mans, people don't actually realize this, is that, okay, inside of your spirit man, okay, and I'm talking to everyone, and you're going to really resonate with this, is that there's always this longing of wanting to have this connection with something greater than yourself, okay? And why do you think some people, whether saved or unsaved, you get that whole, and people would say cliche, something told me, or I knew that I shouldn't do this or do that, okay? There's something greater than yourself, okay, that's actually trying to resonate and make a connection, with your spirit man to actually lead, guide, and direct you, all right? So let's go back to that leap of faith. Now, a lot of times when we talk about leap of faith, when we're talking about, stepping out into the unknown, first thing, why is it each and every time with people, and, I'm guilty, I'm sure you'll probably say the same thing, we always think it's something huge that we have to do, like what God's calling us to do. When God's about to tell us to step out, oh, my Lord, here it comes. Okay, Lord, and we brace like we're about to get hit or something like that. Like, okay, God, what you want me to do? What do you want me to do? And it could be something as simple as looking at the person right next to you, and God said, just tell them that I said I love them. And that would literally just put so many people out of their comfort zone, but it would just be something look how you're looking at me over there. But it would put so many people, out of their comfort zone, but it could just really, change the whole, paradigm of a person's life. I mean, I know you've done it. Mm-hmm. You've done it many, many times. And, I've done it. And just because I'm not that really first emotional response kind of individual that,
why are you covering your face?
What you talking about over there?
You're not supposed to cover your face. Nobody can see you but me.
Oh, yeah, that's true, huh? Well, I'm not the really, what you say, you might say, well, that's typical of a guy, but, like I said, it goes back to,
not this.
Being raised. My thing is it's just straightforward, deal with the issue, and pretty much, that's it. But, and it seems strange, like I said, God amazes me in all of the little things. And when he actually first told me to go up to someone, and me, I'm just going to say, just because of what God's done in my life, I'm always expecting God to do parting the Red Sea type of events and all of this. But then the first time he told me to help someone to get out of step into the unknown, to just go ahead and say, hey, tell them that I love them. Well, I was like, well, that's easy. But I did it, but I didn't expect the effect that it was going to bring about from this person. Okay, so imagine, if you will, you actually telling someone that God loves them, okay? And then you're just thinking about, okay, well, that's good, I can walk off. And then this person just grabs you, tears coming out of their eyes, and then they're like, oh, thank you so much. I was just waiting. I prayed to God for this. Now, that point in time where you see this kid or adult, they get a hug from somebody, and they kind of lean back, and they're looking up in the air like, what is this person doing? That's me. Okay, that's me. I am not you. See, someone that tries to give me an emotional response, I'm really
out of your comfort zone?
Yes. Yes, very much so. So, but the thing is that there are certain ways that God uses certain things to actually get you to step into the unknown. And that's one of the things that he's used to actually get me to step into that unknown, to make more of a personal connection, as far as with people. Until, the whole thing, the process that God has been working over the years, until, David and Carlette mentioned it, it was always in my mindset up until recently that, people still perceive me, as far as meeting me the first time, as oh my Lord, who is this big old guy here that's about to come and rip my head off or something? And then they told me, nah, you're approachable, good spirit and everything like this.
See, that is a matter of opinion of the people who meet you, because everyone has a different opinion.
Oh, wow. And that, folks, is what you call on live radio getting kicked under the bus by your wife. I mean, stop. Hey, don't put it in reverse. Don't you back up on me.
Should we bring the kids up?
But look, it really is, as far as stepping into the unknown. And we went and we were talking about, the power isn't in our perfection. It's actually in God's plan. So, I want to touch back on that again. Because, wow, especially, like children of God. And I know how I was. And when we were, say before the marriage conference we had went to, I was trying to tweak this and get this straight, do this with a website and do that. And I'm just like, man, why is this not working? Okay, it's just not working. I've done every single thing that I know how to do. I'm doing all these different things. And then it took my wife, well, just take a step back and, ask God, what's wrong? Of course, that was a big revelation that happened to me. Oh, the thing that we usually need to do when we're stepping into like unknown situations, ask God before we're actually going into those situations.
Ask God before you make a move that you're not sure of.
I mean, that's true. And, a lot of you that know anything about computers, if you it could be something as far as like if you're writing a code or putting in something. If you don't have like one period where it needs to go or whatever, it's just not going to work. So it ended up, long story short, it ended up being to where God was actually stretching me out to hone like computer skills that I have. It was literally, as I wrote this sentence, I didn't put one little period.
It hone computer skills or actually give you computer skills?
Well, hone the newly, acquired computer skills that I actually had. How about that? Okay. And how he just like revelated to me, and my whole mindset, like some of you right now. Okay. Some of us right now, as we're talking about, the power isn't in our perfection. Okay. It's in God's plan. Some of us right now, we're trying to be so perfect before actually taking that leap of faith that what happens? We're in this instance of perfected paralysis that we've actually put on our own lives. God's not doing it. Satan's not doing it, but we're doing it to ourselves. We literally are trying to make things so perfect that where we don't even take a step forward to go into what God's calling us to do. I mean, I know that's definitely touching someone right there in that moment, because God instructed me to do something that should have taken like 3 days. 1 month later, still doing the same thing. Okay. Now, how many of us can actually resonate with that? I mean, have you ever gotten yourself, and I know this is a big yes, have you ever gotten yourself in a point of it's got to be perfect, it's got to be this way, but you find yourself the time keeps passing by on it?
Never. All the time.
Look, and that's true. See, because that's literally one of the deceptions that the enemy has. He says, well, you're supposed to do everything with excellence unto the Lord. Everything with excellence. And so it's got to be perfect. And then the more you try to be in a perfected state, you don't do anything out of that so-called false sense of self-preparation to do what God's called you to do. It literally took God coming to me, and some of you might say, well, he's making this stuff up. But I told you, this is how me and God, we talk. It was like God, says, hey, well, what are you doing? I got to get this right. You're ready to go. Go ahead and launch it. No, God, it's not right. It's not perfect. I'm like, well, what do you measure that on? Well, God, excellence. I got to do everything in excellence unto you. Well, guess what? You will never be in a perfected state until you actually reach glory.
Boom.
So why is it that you think you're going to be perfect in your flesh when you're still struggling to be perfect as far as like in the things I want you to receive in your spirit? That was one of them things that actually made me almost hit the floor. I was just like, ooh. He was like, send it through. And when I actually sent it through, I remember telling my wife, thinking everything that needed to be perfect. I didn't realize, and this is touching some of you right now as you're stepping out into the unknown, instructions that he actually gave me, I think it was like 2-3 years prior. It didn't make any sense whatsoever. But then right before he told me to submit it, and I looked at this checklist of things I needed to have to submit to this company, everything that he had told me from 2 to 3 years prior was already done on this list. I had absolutely no idea. But I was able to take all of that, submit it, and, certain things started opening up in my life and in my family's life. So look, God is telling you about stepping as far as like into the unknown, into what he has in store for you. Because why? It's definitely going to be glorious. So look, stay right with us, and we'll be right back after the break. Welcome back to In the Moment with Kortia, cruising on this Halfway There Wednesday. And hey, wow, God is definitely moving in the studio on today. And I just want to let you know right now at the top of this segment that, look, we're going to have our some guests for the next 2 days on Thriving Thursday. On tomorrow, we're going to have Christy Dimitrakis, who is basically, an author, public speaker, and basically God's downloaded in her how to use those fears that Satan tries to actually heap upon you to actually basically turn those things around to where, not only you'll be able to grow from it, but, you'll be able to help others grow from it. And then on, Fire It Up Friday, we're going to have two of our local artisans, Emily Owens and Nicholas Bungu, who are using art to change communities. I'm talking paintings and different things, and I've seen these two young individuals, they're in their early 20s, and wow, I mean, God is definitely being able to move through them to capture the moments of what he is, not only in people, but in nature as well. So tune in for both of those, and I know you're going to be really touched by, each one of those interviews. So we're talking yet again about stepping out into the unknown. And look, just like before we went into the break, it's wow, really God just really wanting us to see that, a lot of times when we're in this like unknown phase of our life, we know this. Here comes the dirty word, okay?
Uh-oh.
We know this, that through the so-called dark times of our life, if you really have been made aware of it, all right, it's preparation. It really is.
Preparation?
Preparation.
What's preparation?
Look, it's
Do
one
you
of
have a definition for that?
the quick definition. Okay, the quick definition of preparation that we have, not what Webster says in the dictionary, but the quick definition.
I could pull Webster up.
No, we don't have to pull Webster up, but I'm talking about what we have is, being trained to walk into the fullness of what God has in store for you. That's the quickest explanation I can give as far as like preparation. And a lot of you might say yes, but a lot of us, we might say yes and walking into what God's, but a lot of us don't want to actually go through the training process.
The process.
Woo! Wow, that preparation, that process.
The process.
Woo! Yes, Lord. But look, it's like this, okay? What ended up happening? Now, sometimes we can be into like this whatever area we are in life, all right? And I love how God does, just basically has it right in front of your face, and a lot of times we don't realize what's actually happening, okay? Everything with the television, radio, all the things that are going on, right now. And he gave me like this example that sometimes, and I'm pretty sure this is going to be basic, so everyone that knows anything about a car should know this little excerpt. But it's basically like God will allow certain people to come into your life. And it's like when someone is stalled, when your car is stalled, okay, and you're on the side of the road, all right, and you're trying to drive and go where you need to, and then you stalled, and then sometimes you're going along this journey as far as like with God, all right, and it seems like you've stalled. Well, then what ends up happening? Well, you have that good Samaritan that'll come over, and what do? They give you some assistance, and what's the next thing? They'll pull out the jumper cables and jump you off. God's placing some people in your lives that literally where it seems like you've become stagnant and going more so into the unknown that God has in store for you. It's like a spiritual jumper cables that they put out on your battery, which is called your purpose, and they're giving you that jump start to help you get right back on the road. That's to get good. Back on track. And the thing with that is that a lot of times the help, I'm going to say this again, the help will come in the form or the vestige, the personage, the guise, however you want to say it, of someone that you don't even expect it to come from. And I mean, we've had that happen in our lives so many times. Just so many times.
So many times.
Yeah, say it.
So many times.
But look, it's evident that we tend to need to take a step back, okay? We really need to take a step back. And, we said yesterday, if you've ever made this statement, or definitely if you have surrendered your life to God, but definitely if you made this statement like Christ made the statement, you say, Lord, not my will, but thy will. I mean, it may not look like the...
Just take a back seat and let him move.
Man, it's one of those things like we said before, and it's funny to struggle with something like this, and I had to ask our spiritual mother before we actually moved, away. I never could get over and understand those little vanity plates, God is my co-pilot. It just never set right with me. Every time I saw one of those plates, God is my co-pilot, God is my co-pilot. And I was like, well, what does that mean? And then, she was like, well, you're actually supposed to flip that around. I'm like, okay, God is my pilot, driving
I'm
me.
the co-pilot.
That's right, guiding me and everything. And just like in an airplane, if the main pilot needs some assistance, guess what? He's going to give instruction to the co-pilot on what needs to be done. But all you need to do is just sit there in the seat and enjoy the ride. Now, the problem is with us, as far as like with people, we tend to want to go ahead and instruct God on how to go ahead and steer. And, hey, maybe we should turn here. Hey, this is a shortcut over here. I see a shortcut. I've mapped this thing out. I've mapped Quest, But God said, God said, you map Quest, and I've got universal vision, so I'm going to go with what I have right now, But the thing is that each and every area of our lives, if we really look at it, I mean, even before, and I'm going to say for myself, even before being saved, I literally now, through all those unknown moments, see how God has been guiding and directing and instructing and tweaking and doing all the different things that, that leads up to this point right now. I mean, even through the hardest times of my life, I can say now with 100% certainty that I know God was right there in the midst. Right there in the midst.
And I'll just, amen.
Look, I mean, without bringing up any past things, it came to me, really hit me hard, 2 days ago. And I was just sitting there like, man, okay, wow. Yeah, he got me through this. It had to be him through this. I mean, oh, man, if he wouldn't have been there through this, I just started roll calling stuff that happened in my life, right?
Well, I think everybody who actually can sit and think about things that have happened in their life, they would be able to sit and really see where God has moved and God has brought them through. God has protected them. God has carried them. So, but it's a matter of taking that time, like we had discussed.
Mm-hmm.
It's a matter of taking that time and looking at your life, reflecting on it, and seeing where God has moved.
Absolutely. And, I mean, another great analogy of whatever that God gave me. So I'm thinking about this, and I'm telling my wife, we've been working out. We shared that we've been working out, and I thank God for it because feeling pretty good from all this exercise compared to what I used to feel like. But the thing is that, and as my wife gives that smirk, she's like, I'm just going to drink my coffee right now. I'm working out right now with that.
Yes. I'm working my arm muscles.
But it was like, I kept saying, you've heard me say this for the last couple weeks, right? I've been saying that, wow, I just want to lose 20 more pounds. That's it. I just want to lose 20 more pounds. But then I was looking and realizing this, is that, if you've ever seen the illustration of what they say, like 5 pounds of body fat looks like, it's kind of huge. It really is. And then I was looking at my own body, and I'm like, well, I'm saying 20, but I don't think it is 20. And then this revelation just came to me exactly how God was just saying, something? When you're in the process, he says, it's just like working out. And I'm like, okay, this is court again. Well, what do you mean? Look, you're so focused on what you think is happening through the process on the outside, but you don't see the changes that are literally happening on the inside. And he was just like with working out, the fat is melting away, those things that you don't want on you, the things that I don't want on you, but you're not taking note of the muscle that's being built. And as the muscle is being built, for some of you that know, you're actually getting more weight on you once the fat is disappearing, but you're becoming stronger, you're becoming more steady. So God had to use that to me to, like, as I grow my people up, they're becoming stronger, and they're looking at a scale or a measuring stick that the world has, but they're not looking at the benefit of what's coming from the inside. And I know that just touched somebody right now in that moment, because look, it touched me if it didn't touch any one of you when he told it to me. So look, God is really just letting you know right now that he's working it out. He's working it all out, all right? You're in the unknown, but guess what? You're not alone. And the unknown right now, after this segment, or should I say the show today, you're really going to find out that the unknown is actually a really good thing to actually have happening in your life. And I tell you, it's awesome. It's great, that's the things that are going on. And I'm telling you, God is really moving in your life on today. So look, stay with us, and we'll be right back after the break. Welcome back to In the Moment with Kortia Kuzan on a halfway there Wednesday. Hey, part 2 of stepping out into the unknown. I love how God gives you these little downloads, pretty much before we come back on the air. And, he just brought to my remembrance that, even though, we've had like a couple of callers that actually called into the show, the thing that really sticks out to me is that we actually have a lot of people, at least, with myself, that come up to me and say, hey, I'm listening to the show. I'm listening to the show. Man, what you talked about, that touched me. That was right there. I was working out, all of these different things. But, it's almost, God just brought, I have the picture in my head right now. It's like when they're saying this, and I didn't catch this, and Lord forgive me for not catching this before, but it's like when they're saying that, it's like they're coming and they're expressing about, okay, watching the show, but it's like they almost come with like a question mark. Okay. Almost come with like a question mark, as if, what they heard, it resonated with them, but it's just like, okay, there's this missing piece. I'm just waiting to just come up. I'm just waiting for this missing piece. And I really got that, on last week when someone actually came up to me, and I mean, they were intent about just saying, I listened to the show, and they just kept saying, man, I listened to the show. That's all they said. They just said, I listened to the show. And then, of course, I'm like, well, thank you, thank you for listening to the show. But I didn't really pick up on how it was like an opportunity for me to actually really help them. So, like I said, Lord, forgive me for not picking up on that then and there. But literally, sometimes God will open up instances like that for people that may be going in like their own process of being in the unknown. See, this is what I've realized, and I'm sure, like I said, my wife, she'll testify to this, that a lot of times when you're going through your process of being in the unknown, that when you actually are taking the time to help someone or guide someone, how I use the example of the spiritual like jumper cables on the side of the road, it's actually going to fast track you further along in your own process that God has you going through. I mean, would you agree with that?
I would absolutely agree with that. And I say that, I always tell the kids, and I'm gonna take this down to like a school level, but I can remember I used to tutor when I was in college. When I was in high school, when I was in college, I used to tutor. And I've always told the kids, if you can help someone else out, do it. Because not only are you teaching someone else, you're helping someone else to excel, but you're also honing in on your skills. It opens you up to understand more of what you're doing and what you're teaching. And that is kind of where I see what you're saying is when you help someone to understand where they're going, when you help someone to, to guide them along the way as a mentor, you're actually honing your skills in as well. Exactly.
And everything as far as like with the radio program, and I mentioned before, we have like our own like coaching platform. We help coach people, help them to walk into their destinies and everything. And, I didn't put that together until just weeks ago, that whole process before any and all this that happened, it was training for everything that's going on right now. Right. And it basically helped hone my skills and to do the different things, as far as like researching different things, having, you knew they were going to ask about this. And so you researched that and then you grew your knowledge base.
Exactly.
And it was stuff that you really in the beginning, you wouldn't have done if it was just for yourself, because you were trying to help someone else where they are.
It caused you to excel.
Exactly.
So that you could be what they needed.
Exactly. And you grow from it. And I mean, it's just like God is just basically showing you exactly how your self-worth is really increasing. And you might say, well, doesn't God see you with great self-worth right now? Well, yes, he does. But the thing is that the main thing that God does continually with us is that he's got to try to get us to see what he already sees, okay? And that's the biggest thing through this process. That's what hinders a lot of us, is because if we really grab hold of seeing ourselves the way God sees us, I mean, we would have so much stuff that would just fall off of us, okay? Wouldn't have to worry about, the having to get certain affirmations from people about them having to give you, well done, good job, all of this. I mean, there are too many people now, whether saved or unsaved, I mean, it's almost like an addiction for some of them. They have to get those positive affirmations. I mean, you may have done it. No, I've actually seen this happen with you. And I know I've done it to where someone's done something and you said, good job. And it's just like they're just looking at you. You got any more? I mean, you going to say something else? And, I'm just like, and it happened at one point in time. And, as a child, each one of our kids went through this phase. And, we told them, good job. I mean, we're not going to go ahead and put you up on this pedestal and, have a parade and everything else. And that's all, some people, want. They want the praises of men instead of what God can actually give
Exactly.
them. That's the best way I can actually put that, okay? And then, as far as like finding fulfillment, we definitely have to find fulfillment in this process of being and stepping out into the unknown. And, I mean, that's going to be hard for so many people because it was hard for me. I know it was definitely hard for my wife because when you go into something that you've never done before, you're going to find fulfillment. Well, it goes back to what we just said as far as like you grow, how can I say, God increasing you growing up, okay? It says we're all, okay, in the Bible. You're children of God. Nowhere does it say adult of God. But even as a child of God, I mean, some of you that are still blessed to have like your parents that are living, even parents, you may be parents yourself, all right? You're still, no matter what, someone's child, okay? You're always going to be referenced to being someone's child. And the thing with that is that even as a child, you're still going to grow as the years go by, okay? You're still going to grow. And that's what the process is as far as like stepping into the unknown. And I don't want to get into this analogy before, we go into our next break. But look, this is what it's really all about, okay? That's what stepping out into the unknown is. Why? Did you think for whatever reason that when the children of Israel came out of Egypt, that this was something that they knew about, going across into this wilderness area, taking this track, and then just saying, hey,
after 40 years, they probably did.
Man, that just still blows my mind with that 40-year track that should have taken them no more than maybe 2 weeks. I mean, wow, that's just like, woof. But, that may be something for some of you right now. Do some of you actually feel like you're going around your own mountain? Really? Are you going around your own mountain and you're like complaining and whining and doing all of this, but then God's like, okay, well, you're not receiving what I'm trying to get you to receive and you're not growing, so guess what? Keep on going. Keep on going into the unknown, going around the mountain. But look, God's just letting you know right now, you don't have to keep going around that mountain. All you have to do is to be like the next generation that comes and just says, okay, God, whatever you say, I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it. I'm going to walk with it until you bring me to my own Jordan to where I can cross it. And God's just wanting to let you know continually exactly how he's reaching you right in your moment. So stay in your moment. We're going to go right into break. Welcome back to In the Moment with Kortia Kuzan. Wow, what a show, what a show, what a show. And I really see how God's just moving and, touching so many. And it's like revelation after revelation in the studio today, and all of the different things that he's actually doing and bringing out. And wow, stepping out into the unknown, this is part 2 and, the final portion of what we're going to be talking about in that today. And I mean, until God actually broke this down to me, at a lot of what we call our unknown moments have been when we've received basically our greatest increase. If someone would have told me that in the natural, I would have been, you must be out of your mind. Or what's that thing we used to say all the time? You must be on that medication.
You just went way back there.
Yeah, that was way back. But the thing is that a lot of the things a lot of people, they always try, and we were there, okay, so we were there. A lot of people try to take a natural example or a natural solution and compare it to something that God's going to do in the spirit. And I'm just going to let you know, if you're doing that, stop doing it, okay, because it's really going to mess you up. Because what's it going to do? It's going to bring these limitations to you, and then you're going to start complaining to God, okay, why is this not happening in my life, or why is this not working? Okay, well, it's kind of almost like you put like these spiritual handcuffs on yourself and you can't go any further.
Right.
You've locked yourself up. I mean, and we try to say, well, it's the accuser of the brethren. It's the accuser of the brethren. But I'm just going to like let you know, God let me know that most of the stuff that we actually go through as, people, as these kids, we put it on ourselves. I mean, we really do. And I mean, some of you might now, I can't believe you said that. No.
I can't believe you said that.
No, I'm going to keep blaming the devil. I'm going to keep blaming the devil. Well,
sometimes we give the devil too much credit.
oh, man. He's just over there filing his little nails talking about, well, I don't have to do anything. I mean, you know, they giving me the credit for this and that, you know, making my name known and
Right.
all of this. But, you know, if they really would see what God's trying to show them, I mean, because I can't do anything in their life unless they let me do it anyway. So, you know, but the whole point is that for us to actually fully go through this entire process that we are in, you will have to go through this unknown phase in your life. Or it may seem like it's like, well, a shroud of darkness where it just seems like nothing's happening in your life. I mean, what is it that, like, you could be just like David, okay? 17 years of age, and the prophet Samuel comes to you and anoints you as king over Israel. And you might say, well, man, that's awesome, David had it. But look, David didn't become king in the natural at 17 years of age.
No, that shroud of darkness was his testing time, his proving time.
Exactly. His time of growth.
Yes.
13 years, as a matter of fact. Yeah, he had to go through preparation before he was again. Now, did Samuel tell him, or did God tell him through Samuel, hey, guess what? Somebody's going to be trying to kill you and hunting you down, and you're going to be sleeping in the desert and sleeping in caves, and your brothers and everything are going to be talking all bad about you. All of these, look, how many of you are like, man, that sounds so much like my life? And a lot of people will say, well, are you trying to tell me that a lot of times when there's a cover of darkness over our life, that it's not the enemy? Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm telling you. A lot of times, you know, and to use this analogy right before we finish, it's just like I used it before about that Chinese bamboo, to where Chinese bamboo, when it's planted, it is literally under the ground for 4 years, growing its root system, stretching out in every single area. But at the right time, okay, and I'm going to say at the right time, the appointed time, okay, then the blade's going to come up and it's going to flourish. But see, the thing, if you know anything about bamboo, it's not like a stalk of corn, okay, that just comes up and it may get up to maybe 6 feet. No, a fully strengthened bamboo, okay, once the root system is in place, and I'm talking to you right now in your moment, when your root system is totally in place, just like the bamboo will grow as high as 80 feet, okay, 80 feet. And that thing that really happens is that God is really wanting you to just flourish just like that, to when your root system is so embedded and grounded into the unknown, to where he's actually grooming you and growing you up. Not only is he going to allow you to shine for him, but he's going to make place and put you before all of these people that are going to want to do what? Have influence, as far as like you're going to be able to connect with them, and they do what? Spread out as far as like what? Finances, influence in certain communities, your state, nation, wherever it may be. But what? It's about that process of growth that we need to have as far as like stepping out into the unknown. I mean, it doesn't get any simpler. It really doesn't get any simpler. We have got to embrace the total process of going through what God has called us to do. I mean, it's just powerful.
Right.
So, you know, look, we definitely love how God's touched you right now in your moment. We love what he's been doing as far as like in your life. God loves you. We love you. Stay in your moment. We'll see you on tomorrow.